So what this video is going to be about is, should you get ASE certifications and other automotive licenses? The simple answer is yes. And here's one of my old certificates. I didn't want to take the new one out of the frame to film this here, which I'll show it later. And you can also buy these patches after you get ASE certified. And if you're a YouTuber, you can also become YouTube Master Certified. I know a lot of people will leave you negative comments saying that doesn't mean anything. And the reason they're leaving those negative comments is they don't have any of their licenses and certifications. Another thing you see a lot of people doing is they say they're making a lot more money than they really are making. The best jobs here in California for a mechanic would be like the water company, the garbage company, Chevron Research. And if you get hired as a journey level job, you'll make like $100,000 a year. And you'll have somebody working under you that'll do all the heavy duty work. And if you're working in an independent shop and you have your journey level and you have all your licenses and certifications, you should be making 1/3 of the shop labor rate. A lot of these people aren't making that much money, and they should go after their employer if they're not making that much. And how you know when your journey level is you can do any job without asking any questions and the job's done right. You know, I used to work for a shop and the people that I worked with, they had been in the field for several years and they'd ask questions constantly. And then a week later they're asking you the same questions again. You know, as a mechanic, we're supposed to be problem solvers and figure this stuff out on our own. And then you retain the information better than if I just give it to you on every single thing. Another thing that will happen once you have all your licenses and certifications is the employer will treat you much better. We're not talking about just money here. They consider you one of the top people now, and if you take off for 2 hours for lunch every single day, they don't even seem to care. They want to keep you there because they know you have a lot of leverage on them, that you might quit at any time. Before you have your licenses and certifications, it's like they're giving you more jobs than you can even handle, and they're trying to give you more and more work, and they don't want to pay you more money. So that's why it does pay to get your everything. And I worked for one company, and one time they wanted me to fix these wrought iron gates on the weekend. They said, we'll pay you overtime to do that. And I said, no, you won't. You're going to pay me 50% of the job or I'm not doing it. And it was like the manager's mouth just dropped open when I said that. It was like he never had an employee ever say that before. And they paid me the 50%. You know, there's no reason for an employer to make all the money. You know, an employer pretty much is just a middleman. They're getting you the jobs and you're doing the jobs and making them, getting a percentage of that. Yeah, and I started working for this shop full-time in February of 1992. And even before that, I had been working part-time for 5.5 years. So I had quite a bit of knowledge when I first started out. And now it's 2001. I've been there 9.5 years. And the guy wasn't paying me enough money, and that's when I decided I'm going to get all my licenses and certifications. So how it all started out is I looked and seen what everyone else around had, and then I decided I'm going to get more than what everybody else has. So I started out, I got my 609 refrigerant license first. That was in August, I think, of 2001. And then I decided I was thinking about doing commercial refrigeration also, so I got my 3 refrigeration licenses. Then in, I think it was November of 2001, I took the A1 through A8 ASE test. And back then there were paper pencil tests. And the people sitting at my table told me, you're totally crazy to take 8 tests all at once. But I passed all 8 of them. And then, you know, if you're going to go take those, it's best to take as many of them as possible at once. So then, right after that, I was had to go to Onboard Diagnostics 2 school, the basic clean air course, and the advanced clean air course to get a California smog license. And one of the requirements also is the ASE L1 test. So I had to wait. Back then they only gave them twice a year. So in May of 2001 I took the L1, and I also took the X1 test because I didn't want to go there to take one test. And the requirements are A6, A8, and L1. Some people that just have a smog license and they don't have anything else, they take ASE alternative schools where you go through a whole entire class because they can't pass the test, but it's cheaper if you just go take the test. But now all those schools are combined together, the clean air courses and the onboard diagnostics too. And at the time when I got my license, this area was called a basic area. But since I wasn't in a hurry for it, I decided I'm going to get my enhanced area smog license because I figured it was going to go to an enhanced area. So that's why I went through all 3 schools. And then at the same time when I was going to those schools, I got my brake and lamp adjusters licenses. What those were for is if a car has a salvage title, you have to have a brake and lamp adjusters test. But I decided to let those licenses go. It was just a hassle. It's like every 3 or 4 years I'd have to go take the test. And there's no call for that. And if I want to ever get them again, I just have to go take the test and that's it. With a smog license, if you let it go for more than, I think it's 1 year, you have to go through the whole entire schools again. So in September of 2001, that's when I got my smog license. And I never told my employer I was getting anything. And as soon as I had everything, at that time I had 10 ASE certifications, my smog license, brake and lamp adjusters licenses, and all 4 refrigerant licenses. I went into his office, I set everything on his desk, and I said, this is what I have, and this is how much you're going to pay me, or I'm gone. And my pay almost doubled. But see, before that, I couldn't even hardly get $1 an hour more. So that's why it's so important to get your licenses and certifications. Right now, I have 12 ASE certifications. What happened was they came out with the A9 test, and I decided to take the A9 and the F1 test. And I also have, they changed the smog license where there's 2 smog licenses now. I have both of them. There's one that's a test-only license, and there's a test and repair license. For the test-only license, you have to take a 4-hour online class every 2 years to renew it. For the test and repair license, every 2 years you have to take a 16-hour regular class on it. Yeah, one of the main things here in California is a smog license. As far as I know, I'm the only YouTube creator that actually has a smog license. Most people don't even want to go through all the work anymore. And there are some YouTubers out there that are not who they actually claim to be, so you should do your research on anyone. Yeah, and I'm going to take the L2 and L3 tests pretty soon. Now they're done on a computer. They're not done paper pencil tests anymore. And they do it a whole bunch of times a year. You can pick the locations and everything. It's much easier. But these tests are not real easy like a lot of people think that have never taken them. Most of the questions, you've got to really look at it and then eliminate the answers that are not right, and then look at the couple that could be right and really read the question again and answer it. Like the L1 recertification test, you get 2 hours and 15 minutes to take that. It took me 1 hour and 45 minutes to answer those 50 questions. So it's not real fast and easy, a lot of these tests. Yeah, and the dealership guys, they think ASE's crap, that their tests are much better. Their tests are pretty much exactly the same thing, except they're specific to only one brand of cars. So it's really not that much of a difference like they think. Yeah, if 2 guys apply for a job and they've both been in the field about the same amount of time, and one guy has all of his licenses and certifications and the other one doesn't, they're going to hire the person that has all their licenses and certifications. And if they end up hiring both people, the person that has their licenses and certifications will make a lot more money than the other person. So that's why it is important to get this stuff. Like, a lot of people don't think it's important. And also, you know, if you own your own shop, people are thinking they don't need any of this stuff. But it looks much better to your customers if you have all your licenses and certifications and the shop next door doesn't have it. You know, it shows that you went the extra mile that they didn't do. Yeah, another thing is, when you got a guy next to you at work and he's got his $20,000 Snap-on toolbox and he's in his 50s, and then you're using your Harbor Freight tools and you're in your 20s and you show up one day to work and you're a master tech and he isn't, he feels like crap. Yeah, now I'll show you the actual licenses, the real ones. Yeah, and here's my A1 through A9 ASEs, and my L1, and it's kind of hard to see with the glare when they're in these frames. And here's the X1. Here's my 609 refrigerant license. And this is a 608 universal license. Yeah, and here's one of my smog licenses. And here's the other license. Yeah, and the best way to take these tests is to take as many of them as you possibly can. Even if your shop doesn't do certain things, take them anyways. And if you fail anything, you can always come back and study that subject and take it later again. And here's what one of these study guides looks like. Yeah, back when I first took the L1 test, it was called the composite vehicle. Now, when I just recertified, it's the composite vehicle type 3. So it's been updated 3 times. Yeah, if I got to do everything all over again, you know, I would have got all my licenses and certifications in about 4 or 5 years and not waited about 10 years to do that. Yeah, and there's somebody in Croatia that makes these YouTube Master Certified things you can buy online. They sell them on eBay, I think. Yeah, I thought that was funny, is why I bought it.